Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It is my pleasure to introduce Liz and Michelle to present their session on Because Wellness Matters. So I will turn it over to Liz and Michelle, and enjoy, everyone.
So hey, everybody, we are off hitting the ground running here right at 4. And I'm sure people are going to keep trickling through. I see some familiar faces. My girl Steph from Ottawa is just talking about you. So welcome to our presentation, Highway to Well. You have arrived. My name's Liz. I'm the wellness coordinator at Waypoint, and in partnership with my good friend Michelle, we created this program, Highway to Well, that we're going to give you a little bit of an introduction on today. So Michelle, if you want to introduce yourself and then.
Oh, yeah. So my name is Michelle. I'm a rec therapist at Waypoint. And I share Liz's passion for wellness and just the idea of creating opportunities for people to explore their interests and their values to really just kind of become their best self. So I'm so excited to be a part of this and share sort of some of the program that we built together. So yay.
And we just want you guys to take away whatever you need from this session. You're going to hear a lot of references to cars and road trips and road conditions. So bear with us. That's just keeping in mind the title of our program itself. And again, so just whatever you need from this, if it's recognizing and being able to celebrate the wellness wins you guys are already crushing every day, or maybe just a chance to reflect on areas that you want to peek into more. It is just anybody's personal journey. And to start us off on our first, car metaphor, we wanted to open up with, you wouldn't leave your car on empty and expect it to run efficiently. So why would you do that to you? So just consider, when you wake up in the morning, do you know what it takes to fuel yourself and be at your best and hit the ground running and just really bring your best foot forward, your best self forward in that day? So throughout this presentation, we hope to bring you some strategies.
All right. Oh, it is working. Okay, good. So we're going to start off with a little bit of something different. So we're going to get everyone, if they want to take part in this, to change your name on your Zoom account, just for some extra fun added in here. So there's 3 quick steps to do this. So step 1 is that when you go over your name, you're going to see these 3 little white dots. So I want you to find those, click on it, and then you are going to pick rename, and then you're going to give yourself a new name for the next 30 minutes. So either a word that describes yourself, or maybe just some fun name that's going to bring a smile or make someone laugh. We just ask that you keep it PG-13. So Liz, thank you. You've already done that. I'm going to rename mine here as well.
And I will remind you at the end to change it back so you're not jumping into your next professional Zoom meeting with the same name. So, oh, I love the Fast and Curious.
All right. Am I still in full screen here?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so if you have your speakers on, now is a chance just to click your microphones off. And at the end, we will absolutely open it up to turn your mics on and participate if you have any questions, that sort of stuff. But what we want you to bring to this session, so the road to wellness can be paved with all sorts of bumps and potholes and darn construction sites and detours everywhere. And we want you to know that perfection is not a stop on the road, nor is it the end journey. So the only thing we really want you guys to bring today is you. We're hoping for some engagement. We're hoping, oh, I love Luhu. I'm loving the name changes. Cookie Baker, we need to be friends. We really just want you guys to be able to engage and have fun. Michelle and I are, hopefully you're going to notice our energy and our passion. We're going to lean into the screen. This is the stuff that we really love. So we want you guys to participate as much as possible. At the bottom, if you're new to Zoom, you will see the chat box. We're going to cue you every so often. If you have any questions or comments or just answers to our questions, use that chat box. And right beside it, there's also this really nifty reactions tab. If at any point in our presentation, we say something that you're like, holy cow, that was awesome, I'm going to hit the clap button. We will accept that. The same thing for thumbs up. There's questions. So that will kind of cue us later to come back to it in case you have any other questions. We really wish we were more techie and could create this sort of like mind blown reaction, because we thought that would be fun, but we're going to stick with these ones for now.
All right, so we've gone over what we want you to bring. So let's just quickly give you sort of an overview of what we are going to bring to you today. So we're going to start off with doing an internal weather report. And then we're going to get into the nitty gritty kind of wellness 101, how to define it, what you guys think it is as well. And we're going to go over the 8 dimensions of wellness. Yes, there are 8. A lot of people don't know that. We're going to talk about wellness at work. We're going to get into some talk about habits, how they are, beneficial for you and how some may not be so great. We're going to give you some wellness strategies, and you'll notice we're going to do strategies all throughout the presentation. So get a little sort of notebook kind of beside you. If you hear any that you really like, jot those down. And we're going to end off with setting some intentions to sort of move forward from this presentation. So, internal weather report. So just as you would check the weather before heading off on a journey in the car, we're doing that today as well. So this is the idea of doing this internal weather report to really check in with our feelings at the present moment. And because emotions really sort of affect how you accept information and really challenge whether you're present in the moment or not. So we want to make sure just to see where everyone's at. So this slide here just shows that we're going to use weather, hence the name, to represent the emotions that we're feeling. So the next slide, this gives you an example of some of the correlations between some of the weather and the emotions we may be experiencing. So I want you to take a moment to reflect on your internal weather, how you're feeling right now, and use a weather word in the chat box and throw it in just so we can get an idea of where everyone is at the present moment. So take a time to go ahead and throw that chat in, and Liz and I will do the same as well.
I'm trying to think of what I'm going to write in. Got us satisfied. Bright skies. Oh, I love it. Okay. At ease and focused. Feeling lots of energy, so I'm adding sunshine and rainbows. Exhausted. Okay, so and just to add into this too, the reason for the internal weather reports is also because it's a really cool thing how you can forecast your weather. So if you're coming into this right now, maybe just not feeling at your best, we're hoping that throughout the presentation, we sort of like spark some stuff and, you have sunny skies on the horizon.
So now that we've sort of got an idea of where you're at, I want you to ask 2 questions to yourself. So the first is that how you want to feel in this present moment? And if it's not, what strategies do you use to really sort of be your best self? So that last question I just asked, I want you to just hold on to that, throw it into the passenger seat beside you, because we're going to explore that and come back to that later on in the presentation.
While I'm talking, I just kind of want you guys to follow the prompts of the graphic on the screen right now, just the active breathing. So we're throwing this into the beginning of our presentation because just the simple active breathing, your body knows how to breathe. It is extremely powerful to ground you into the here and now, bring a level of comfort if you need to like adjust where you're sitting, but also it helps, helps with focusing. So it's just inviting you to take a few deep breaths, notice the pause between the exhaling, inhaling, and just get ready to take in some fun facts and information today. Excellent. So to start our road trip, what is wellness to you? So we have quite a few participants, which is awesome. And I just want to invite you again to use the chat box and just plug in one word, a sentence, or just how you would describe the word wellness. What does it mean to you? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Or why might it even be important? You just share balance. Wellness means balance. Excellent. You're going to like one of our slides near the end. Calm, mind, and happy. Okay.
Oh.
So we've got you. Yeah. This is a good time to mention too, this is just like the intro to our program. So at the end, we're going to ask if anybody wants to share any emails. We have lots of stuff we can connect you with. Regroup and recharge. Excellent. Happiness. Perfect. Those are all phenomenal answers.
So keep them coming in as we're going. We have a short period of time and a lot of content, so we may keep running through, but please, if you think of something, just throw it in the chat box.
Excellent.
So defining some wellness. So the reason why we are taking a moment to really sort of define it here is that a lot of people often think of wellness in terms of that physical piece, so nutrition and exercise, but it really is such a great deal more. And when thinking about your wellness, we want to think about holistic wellness, and that is really looking at your whole picture. And it's a very comprehensive evaluation of every single part of our lives. So when you look at the definition that we have up for you, there are two key words that I really want you to look at, and that is aware and also making choices. So it highlights that, like, when it comes to your wellness, you are in the driver's seat, and it's you that needs to be aware of the fuel gauge when it comes to your wellness and making the appropriate choices to really be your best self. So those are two key things that we really want you to sort of go away with today. And it may be surprising, as I mentioned before, that holistic wellness has 8 mutually interdependent dimensions. And this is just a visual representation of each of them here. So there's intellectual, environmental, financial, spiritual, vocational, emotional, social, and physical. Whew, I know there's a lot. So Liz and I are going to take some time to go through each of them. And it's really this time that I said we're going to have strategies along the way. So really get that sort of notepad or take some screenshots along the way.
Okay, so to kick off our road trip on the dimensions, we're going to start off with the physical wellness. And basically, the ultimate goal is being able to take care of your body now, because it's what's going to be carrying you in your future. So it's for your future health, future self. We have lots of notes. And so throughout this, just like to be totally transparent, you'll see me looking down because I want to make sure I hit all the key points. But this dimension is way more than just getting physically active, like this cool carrot here on the picture. It actually has 3 key elements. So the first one is moving your body. Never, ever underestimate the power of moving your body every day. The Canadian Physical Activity Guideline recommends 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise per week. But studies have actually shown that even 10 to 15 minutes dropped into your day has like significant benefits to your overall well-being. So if you're finding yourself in a position where it's I don't have time, or I gotta do all these things, I can't get activity in, really it's ultimately about being creative and what is fun for you. So for example, my household really thrives on kitchen dance parties. If that's what it takes to get all the people up in my space moving and dancing around and having fun, that's how we're going to do it that day. So it doesn't have to be restricted to those structured workouts or activities. So keep that in mind. The main goal really is just to find what makes you happy and makes you smile. The second element to this one is also having a really good sleep routine. They call it sleep hygiene. So another stat, adults need about 7 to 9 hours on average every night to feel at their best the next day. So maybe even just by like a thumbs up last night, how many of you achieved those 7 to 9 hours? Sometimes it can be pretty difficult. So we want to really stress the importance of this, because when you're sleeping, that's giving your body that time to really rest, recharge, and heal, and just bring your A game the next day. Michelle mentioned how each dimension is linked. So I'm sure we can all relate to the days we wake up and we didn't really have a great night's sleep. So we might be, our emotional wellness may be low because we might be more irritable, less patience, just frustration, that sort of stuff. So just keep in mind the importance of that. There's some key strategies. One is setting a routine, and that's on weekends as well, like a bedtime routine time and a wake up time. We all have these fancy smartphones that you can actually plug into it. So it will cue you like, oh, hey, you should be going to bed right now. I'm going to shut off all messages and stuff like that to give you the rest time. Cool and dark places and no caffeine before bed. Those are all really important. The last key element to physical wellness is eating well. It's choosing those healthy foods that you want to fuel your body. So I'm not saying eat healthy 100% of the time. That might not really be realistic for your lifestyle, but maybe aim for 80%. We are in total control. A lot of times we might seem like a lot around us is out of our control, but we can control what we put into our bodies. And it's really important to nourish our bodies with those foods that give us energy, those snacks at the right times, the rainbow of colors and fruits and vegetables. Just incorporating those, even just by like mini bits, pick one meal is really, really important. So it's not you're in control of the energy. It's not the umpteen cups of coffee that you're using in the morning to drive you or those random sugar fixes. And one quote when we've been doing all this research that I really always stood out was nobody has ever regretted saying they ate healthy today. So keep that in mind.
Emotional wellness. So this refers to your ability to understand your emotions and cope effectively with the feelings and emotions created. So emotions are huge and play a huge role in our life, and they really have three key functions. So the first one is that they help us survive. Second is that they help us make decisions and then act upon them. And third is that they help us with communication. And emotions are a continuous flow. They're sort of changing all the time. So you can see why it can be very difficult to navigate. And Liz had mentioned before about the whole idea of each dimension helping each other, that whole mutually interdependent piece. That's huge when it comes to emotional wellness, and especially linked to physical wellness. So, physical sickness can be caused by a mind under emotional stress, but also there's the opposite phenomenon that can happen. Physical wellness can foster positive feelings. And that's just sort of a small example of why emotional wellness is so important, understanding your emotions and how that affects everything. So everyone has probably heard the term emotional intelligence before. It's sort of a big thing right now. And it looks at the ability to use your knowledge, your skills, and your strategies to deal with negative emotions and then how to bounce back. So one way that emotional intelligence can sort of be learned or reached is the ruler effect. And I have it down on the screen there. So the ruler looks at being able to recognize your emotion, understand the emotion, label the emotion, express it, and then regulate it. And they're not always easy. It sounds easy to do, but it can be difficult because some of you may not know that humans can experience 30,000 different emotions. That stat just sort of blew my mind when I researched that. So the ruler approach, it takes practice and, really sort of finding the strategies that are going to help you support this. So it can be, as easy and simple like mindful breathing that we did at the very beginning. Or something like attention shifting strategies. So, you're feeling that negative emotion, you want to take the attention away from it. So you go and watch that Netflix show that you've been watching and sort of to take you away from that in the present moment. So those are sort of some strategies that will help. And really the best part is that you may be saying, this sounds difficult, emotional intelligence, I don't really know if I can do it. Well, you've actually already done it today with your internal weather report. So it's really that simple.
Okay, next touristy stop is social wellness. The key points to this one are a sense of belonging, having that strong support system, healthy friendships, and social strength. So On average, and I don't know if anybody else knows this, there's about 150 people that you interact with on a regular basis. And when you dive into it, you can actually divide them up into 4 different groups depending on how connected you are to them. But the most important part is just really surrounding yourself with people who amaze you and encourage you and inspire you to develop or be your best self. That's really important. First off, again, I mentioned social strength. I like to call it being your own social Hulk, because I picture that big, green, strong guy and you got this. He's like, nobody can beat him. So be your own social Hulk, be socially strong. It's all about the relationship you have with yourself. You need to understand how you're hardwired, what your values are, what you need to feel loved and love yourself, that sort of stuff. So the more you love and know yourself, the more you are able to love and validate and support others and the relationships that you have. So it's really important. You tend to be more accepting of others. You're more forgiving. You set and follow personal boundaries when you have a greater understanding and relationship with yourself. And it's just, you're better prepared to deal with all those really emotionally heavy things that happen in life. So we have all been experiencing those for 6 months. It's not the first time. I'm sure something hard has happened also. So it's just really knowing and understanding what you need to feel strong. The next stuff will just fall into place. Nurture those relationships, reach out to friends you haven't talked to in a while, make that time to spend with people that you feel connected to, that support you, and just understand that people who are just really deeply connected with their friends, family, and coworkers, even community members, they tend to live longer, happier, and healthier lifestyles. So really, honestly, who wouldn't want that? Want that. We're all, it's by human that we all want that connection. So social wellness is a really important factor.
All right, so next up, environmental wellness. So this looks at your connection and respect to the natural world. And it's also about the care and attention we give to the environments that we find ourselves in on a regular basis. So good environmental wellness occurs when we are in, pleasant, stimulating environments that really support our well-being. And there's 3 key environments that you may find yourself in at any given time. So the first is your built environment. And this built environment is different for everyone depending on your situation. And for example, if you're working from home, your built environment may be your house and your car. So again, it's going to sort of change for everyone. And really, strategies to support this environment is really as easy as, cleaning the space around you, making sure that your desk area is sort of conducive to your to working and it isn't cluttered and all that kind of stuff, or even just taking a scenic drive to go away from that sort of mundane commute that you always have to do to work. Very simple things. So the second environment is your natural environment. So, your connection with the earth and how it affects your daily habits. And research has found, go figure, that people who spend time in green environments saw improvements with self-esteem, mood. It's shown to increase focus, attention, decrease rumination, increase vitality. The list just really goes on and on and on. So being in green space is just so incredible. And the last environment that everyone may not be so aware of is actually your social environment. So this looks at your family, your friends, the gym, church, all those sort of social people that are around you in those areas. And really right now, another stat that sort of blew my mind was around social media. So the average person actually spends 2 hours and 22 minutes a day on social media. And that's sort of part of that social environment. So that's huge. So you really have to be aware and making sure that that social media environment is healthy to you as well. So really this wellness factor is, taking time, get outside, move your body outside, look for constellations, really take the time to sort of detox those social media accounts that may not be sort of healthy to you right now.
Okay, financial wellness. So key elements again are just understanding your finances, having good financial habits, and being able to plan for future, like financial security. There is no stress like financial stress. Again, another one definitely that will taper off into other dimensions if you're not really paying some attention to this one. But this element is really all about intentional living. It's not necessarily about having more money, but key elements are being in control and having the flexibility and freedom to live in a way that align with your goals, align with your finances. Budgets are really key here. One, because it gives you the opportunity, and it's necessary to really hone in on what your spending habits are, track those, and find out even what your financial, like I like to use roundabouts. If you find yourself getting stuck in those negative financial habits, but you can see the turnoff and you want to get there. So just being able to notice what those habits are by creating a budget is just really going to give you more insight on being able to plan for the future and take control on how you want to manage your money. So fun trick, and I read this online and I actually have tried it a couple of times and it was interesting, was even just try replacing the word spend with invest into your vocabulary and just watch how it will impact your everyday decisions when it comes to spending or investing in something for your lifestyle. So try that trick.
All right, so next up is intellectual wellness, and I get really giddy when talking about this one. It's one of my favorites and was one of my favorites to research as well. So I have a lot of content, so I'm going to talk really fast. I'm sorry because I talk fast and I get excited. So intellectual wellness, this is expanding your knowledge and skills, but it's so much more than just traditional learning of what you may think of. It's, finding those creative outlets that inspire you. It's being open to new ideas and that whole concept of lifelong learning, which I love. And you may or may not know that your brain actually gets bored. And so the whole idea of use it or lose it really does hold true. Your brain cells actually change when you learn new things, making your brain actually work more efficiently. And I think that is pretty cool. So an intellectually well person is someone who uses the resources available to them to expand their knowledge, improve skills, and create potential for sharing for others. And stimulating our brains through activities that involve things like curiosity and critical thinking and reasoning, decision-making, exploring novel ideas. We increase our brain's plasticity, which is a tremendous protective factor for our brain's health. So with so many different infinite possibilities of learning, it's important to understand, like, where the heck do I begin? So if you're struggling with figuring it out, you really want to go back to the drawing board. It's all about exploring all the possibilities within your interests. And this is the time as well not to leave anything out because you think, oh, I couldn't do that, I couldn't learn that. Allow your brain to be open to all different sorts of ideas. Another cool trick, and I love this, is that you really want to look to your inner child. So just to make sure everyone is still with us, I'm going to continue talking, but in the chat box while I'm talking, put in what you remember wanting to be when you grew up as a child. So for me, I was literally convinced in elementary school that I was going to be a singer. And I used to create songs with my friends and we'd sing them at recess time. So when I look at that, when I look at my inner child now with trying to explore more things, does that mean that I'm going to look for a music label to sign me? Well, if anyone knows me or heard me sing, that's a definite no. But maybe it means that, creating and developing new ideas is sort of my jam, and it totally is. So that's what I want you to think of when you're going sort of back to your inner child. So
everybody wrote teacher.
Yeah, I know, I saw that too.
I'm loving it.
So maybe that possibility is, just if you wanted to be a teacher, if you have stuff to teach, then, your children or your friends, pick something and teach it to them. It's such a cool thing to do when you're really sort of honing in on that inner child. So when it comes to intellectual wellness, you want to make sure that you have the steps for success, to know that there's always going to be that dreaded first time. That, learning new things, it's always going to be hard and frustrated at the beginning, and you may want to just speed for the hills. Don't, it will pass. And you also need to make sure that you have the proper mindset. So I love the idea, this one sort of quote, that attitude is more important than intelligence. That was sort of like a mind blown moment for me. So understanding your current mindset prior to getting started really gives you the best chance of succeeding. And also a huge tip, don't make it complicated. It could be as easy, you know, find a new podcast to listen to, have a friendly debate with a friend, friendly debate. These are all things that make your brain work and lets your mind explore new possibilities. So lots of stuff there, but love intellectual wellness.
So being mindful of time, I'm so sorry that it's 4:30, but stick with us. We will
Geez,
speed
it's
up a bit.
4:30.
I know. Okay, so spiritual wellness. This one actually, out of the 8 dimensions, it's really interesting because for whatever reason, it often gets brushed aside or forgotten about. But that is really until people are finding themselves in a position where they're feeling lost or questioning their existence or just seeking a connection or comfort of some sort. So spiritual wellness is just, it's really important because it has the ability to give us that resilience that we need to survive all the roadblocks or potholes or detours, really with a sense of grace and inner peace. It's really having a great and deep connection to yourself, to nature, to others. And it's all about bringing that balance. It's really easy to incorporate spiritual wellness activities into your lifestyle. People do this with meditation, yoga, something as simple as journaling, exploring some religions. There's also, even just as Michelle had mentioned, being in nature when she talked about the environmental wellness. And another one too is mindfulness. And I'm doing this as a shameless plug because if you want to come back and join me on Friday, I'm actually hosting the 30-minute mindfulness session, which I think is really important. And then from there, I also do Fridays, just a 10-minute practice. So hugely impactful and really just, I can't even begin to describe the benefits of it. So no matter what path you take when it comes to your spiritual wellness journey, it will always spark some sort of connection, purpose, and inner peace within you. So it's really important. So check that one out. When I like this, a good description. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, last
that's also just very quick. Oh, just really quickly. I think that's often why maybe it gets brushed aside because when people hear spiritual, they think religion only, but it's not. It's any sense that gives you that connection. So.
All right, vocational wellness. I'm going to fly through this because we have more to get through and we're already over our time. Just key points. So when you think about vocational wellness, please don't just think about work. This has to do with, yes, your work, but also school, volunteering, online courses, professional development, anything like that. And I really want you to know that it really is subjective. So it's about your own perception and attitude and reaction to the work you take part in. So someone else's ambition and desires for satisfaction is going to greatly differ from your own. So never compare yourself to others when it comes to vocational wellness. What things do I want to tell you moving on? So vocational well people, I want you to look at your relationships. So at no point in time should you think that, work friends are only work friends. It's so not true that, having those relationships with those people in work that you can actually have meaningful conversations with really makes work life so much better. It creates, healthier and safer environments for you to walk in or sort of work in. So don't at all brush that aside. And I'm going to just briefly talk about work-life balance when it comes to vocational wellness. And Liz is going to talk about balance in more detail. So it's really the idea of achieving balance between sort of all the musts and the wants in your life. So those musts, working, paying bills, all those things we have to do. And the wants, hanging out with friends and doing your hobbies. So a vocationally well person will have that sort of good balance going on. So strategies to support this here, taking your breaks is key. Asking a coworker how they are, it's that simple. Setting your workplace up with pictures that bring you joy, making a list of career or life goals that you want to achieve. Those are some simple strategies when it comes to vocational wellness.
All right, we get into balance. And I love this picture because it is totally speaks to me. So balance is not something you find, it is something you create. And historically, probably when you think about balance, I always pictured that traditional weight scale where you have to really be mindful about how you're weighing things out, even kilter. And if you're not paying attention and giving it that focus or energy, it's going to topple over, just be uneven and not a standard straight plane. but that's not what it is. So I'm not sure if anybody else resonates with this photo. It's if you're trying to achieve balance in your life right now, it may look like these rocks, and it may look totally implausible, yet for whatever reason and unique to you, it's totally solid. You have found that sweet spot of balance where you're holding steady through whatever storms or challenges come your way is really important. And being in balance means to intentionally, no matter how hard it seems, to choose how you will show up under any given circumstance. A lot of stuff may be outside your control, so you have that personal choice. And the purpose of this picture really is just to remind you that attention needs to be given to each of the wellness dimensions. That was the whole point of us going through all of them. Because neglect to one of them really will have an impact to your overall health. If you're not paying attention to one dimension, it may just, that piece will be gone and things will topple over. So you really have to give the respect and the time to each dimension for your overall well-being. And the key is that they don't have to be equally balanced. And I think that's pretty awesome. It's just striving for whatever your personal harmony is and whatever feels authentic to you for living out your best self and what that means to you.
So at any point in time during this presentation, you may have said, great, I know all about it, but how do I know where I'm at? And of course, Liz and Michelle, we would never leave you without a way to sort of address that concern. So this here, what you see, it's called the Wellness Wheel. So this is a quick and easy sort of holistic wellness assessment tool that you can use. And to use it, first you have to be honest with yourself. And what you do is that you shade in the number related to each dimension of where you feel you are at in the present moment. So remember when we talked about balance, not everyone needs to be, not every dimension needs to be at the same number, obviously, when we were talking about that, but you should be able to look at this wheel and personal harmony. If there's one area more in the 1 or 2 ranges, that maybe should show you that that's where you may need some extra support. So we want to make sure that this tool is available to those who need it. I'm pretty sure, Liz, it's probably posted. This was put out with emails, and I think it's on the
I think it's in our social
website.
Media too. Yeah.
Yeah, but we just in case, we want to make sure if you would like a copy of this assessment tool, throw your email into the chat box so that way we can make sure we get it out to you.
Okay, so how many of you are like me and you go grocery shopping and when you get back, you have umpteen grocery bags and you're like, I'm going to carry them all in at once because I'm not making 2 trips. And they're heavy. And you let them in, shove the door, and when you finally get in, you set them all down. And there literally is that moment of relief and release. And you can you can breathe. So this is really just, we want you to reflect on how many suitcases are you carrying right now or on any given day. We are a lot of different roles. We are parents and friends and siblings and coworkers. We have a lot going on. And sometimes, or more often, we tend to put ourselves last, and we're so busy carrying around all the things that we need to do that we easily neglect our own wellness or what we might need in that moment. So this graphic is more just to encourage you, put those suitcases down. You don't need to lug them around all the time, and just lighten your load and focus on things that make you feel good, smile, and nurture your well-being. It's all about the strategies that can get you from feeling today, some of them you guys felt tired. What are you quick snippets of like a funny video, a song that motivates you? They're simple, just to help lighten your load and get you back to feeling how you want to feel.
Okay, so really quickly, importance of wellness at work. So I'm going to show you a couple of stats. So these are, did you know? So 61% of Canadian employees are burnt out on the job. Surprise, surprise. And stress-related absences cost Canadian employers about $3.5 billion each year. That is so huge. So did you also know, and sort of a shameless plug in here as well, that employees that participate in workplace wellness programs are more satisfied in their jobs than those who don't. And actually engaging in the programs increases productivity, reduces absenteeism, and increases overall job satisfaction. So, the research shows that getting involved in workplace wellness activities is important to your overall health. So it may seem like extra work, or you may say, I don't have time during my day. However, we want you to make the right choices, because we spend, take a breath here, 1/3 of our life at work. I know. So why would you not want to make that a place that can support you being your best self? So get involved if there's something at your work, because it will only benefit you. So the key thing, there is only one of you. So look after yourself. This is so important. And I truly believe that we have a professional as well as a personal responsibility to ensure that, the best quality of work and care to give to people. We have an ethical obligation to look at ourselves. So that's why, looking at all these wellness dimensions is so key. Never just brush it aside. There's only one of you. And so make sure that you're living your best self through that.
So here's
We're almost there, everybody.
I know, my last tacky metaphor here. So do you ever feel like your body's check engine light has been on, but you're still driving around like, nah, it'll be fine, and you ignore it? So we just wanted to cue into about how 40% of our everyday behaviors are habits. And so you're finding yourself, maybe you have got the good habits, the bad habits, but how do you get from like same old street over to like Change Boulevard? You want to get over there. Bad habits are usually caused by stress or by boredom, and they have the ability to like suck our energy out, take up our time, and just put us in this, again, negative roundabout. So it's all about recognizing the need for change for those unhealthy habits and replacing them with stronger, more self-serving ones. And that's all about bringing some self-awareness. So if you notice these unhealthy habits, it's all about like the when does it happen? Who are you with? Where is it? You can start to notice those triggers, or just notice those situations, so you can replace it with a more self-serving one. They had given an example of like when you stand in front of the fridge and you're not really hungry, but you're bored, so you want a snack. So maybe just stopping and taking a few deep breaths. And just anytime you find yourself in those situations where the unhealthy habits are creeping in, just get in the habit of asking yourself, does this support the life that I'm trying to create? Giving yourself that 10 seconds to even ask that, a lot of times is enough awareness to move on to the healthier one that you want to focus on.
So wellness strategies. So adding these strategies into your day will support the decline of all those negative habits, as Liz was talking about, that really can impact your overall wellness. And there is an endless list of strategies to pull from, and which ones you choose really depend on what dimension you're working on, and also on your interests and values will have a key role in that as well. So this here is a cheat sheet for you guys. Some quick and easy wellness strategies for you guys to try. And if you notice, there are 8 of them. So each one comes from one of the 8 dimensions. And if you really just take a moment, look how easy those are. Drink 8 cups of water, clean your workstation, send someone a virtual hug or smile. All of those are easy ways to really impact your own wellness dimension. And like, they're so simple. So a really quick chat opportunity here. We want to know, did you learn a new strategy today, or do you have any go-to strategies? So if you go back to the idea that we were talking about at the beginning of what strategies do you use to be your best self, throw it in the chat box right now, because we want to know some of those.
Ooh, I love the mindfulness.
Yeah.
And they're the virtual ones, and really honestly, they're not limited to even just the one session. We're going to be running the 4-week benefits of mindfulness program from now until the end of December. So if anyone's interested, those postings will always go out. Awesome. Deep breathing, love it. Super important. All right.
We have some
shy chatters, but we'll keep going. Yeah.
All right, intentions. So thank you for sharing those, you did, and I really appreciate that. And the whole idea of setting an intention. So an intention, it's simply sort of a guiding word or phrase that's going to set you for the month, the week, the day, the rest of the evening, really whatever. And it's a commitment to yourself, and sharing your intention with others actually influences your accountability and your motivation. So again, in that chat box, don't be shy, please. Set an intention for yourself of maybe something that you've learned here and want to move forward with, just anything related to your wellness. I'm going to add one too, Liz.
Okay. Oh, I like it.
All right.
Oh, like spelling mistakes. You can keep going. I'm gonna. Okay, so this is beyond just our program. We have taken it to social media platforms. So if you aren't already following Highway to Well on Facebook or Instagram, please like, follow, or share. We post weekly just sort of snippets based on wellness, reflection moments. It's a really cool forum that we are very passionate about. So join us on there. And to end our journey, trust the journey, enjoy the detours. We are going to wrap up officially today's stuff. Michelle and I are going to stick around for a few minutes. If you want to unmute your mics, if you have any questions or comments based on today, you're more than welcome to add them to the chat box if you want. But really want to thank you for joining us today. Do not forget to change your name back unless you want to carry that forward into the next meeting. We didn't actually test that out, so you might want to do that. And last reminder too, just the opportunity to donate to mental health and motion. We're very grateful to have this opportunity to bring this topic to you because we are so driven by it. So thank you for spending the last 40 minutes with us, maybe a bit more. We really appreciate it. And so just donating, because it goes to support the Waypoint Center's mental health, the COVID Relief Fund, which is extremely important for everybody. And a huge shout out to our event sponsors. I had to write it down because this one I will have to read. Midland Honda and Brissette Concrete Forming. And a huge thank you to our session sponsor, which was the OPPA Credit Union. So thank you very much. You're going to hear puppy whining in the background now. But yeah, stick around, open up your mics if you want. But thank you everybody for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And stay tuned for future fun stuff.